Hello and welcome back. And this is going to be the next part of our food app series. So, in this video, I am going to set up the restaurant related features and we'll see what we can do. So, I'm not going to waste your time and I'm just going to jump into the code. So, in the previous video, you would remember that we did is that we set up the flavors in which I basically separate out some of the stuff in the flavors. And now we have something like this. Okay. No, I'll go to the main activity, and inside this main activity, you can see that I have these things. I have a notification list that shows me the notification. I have the stuff like that. One more thing that I did, I basically updated the backend, and now if I run the code, let me just pull that code over here. Okay, so now what I did is that basically I'm just running the code like I did in the previous video. But now when I log in, let's say I'm gonna use furkan at gmail.com, or no, let's just make something as I have one honor1 at example.com as a honor ID of the restaurant. Okay, now I'll say 111. Okay. So when I click, you'll see that we are like I'm not going to I'm not able to basically log in, and the reason for that is that the backend now require one specific key that we need to pass into the header. Okay, and that value would be to go. So basically, how we can add that? We need to go to our network module over here. And now inside this network module, you'll see that we have this header that we have added as a authorization, right? Along with that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add one more header into this. Okay. And that header is going to be X package name. Yeah, that's something. Okay. Then now over here, what we need to do is that we need to identify the package. So one way would be to have basically something like this. For example, I'm going to say application context as context, and then from over here I'm going to say context dot package name. So basically the reason for adding this package name is that the backend need to verify when user is trying to log in to see if basically the ID that is created for a relevant app. So let's say if a restaurant owner is trying to log in as a customer app, it should not allow that, right? So now when I once I add this X package name header into this request, I'll rerun the code, and this time I'll hopefully be able to log in with the restaurant ID. Okay, so now you'll see the app is loading. We'll go to the login section, and from the login section, I'm gonna say um, honor1 at gmail.com. Oh, sorry, at example.com. These are some hard coded values or user IDs that I have created, and you can use the same as well. It is 111. Let me just remove that. 111111. So it's 6 times 1 as a password, and when I log in, you'll see that now it logs me in. Previously it was not logging me in, and when I get over here, there is like no notification that I can get. So basically right now everything is blank. We don't have anything. I'm also thinking about changing the color for this to from orange to something else so that we know that this is a different app. But yeah, now let's just start working on this. So over here in this home screen, what we are gonna do is that we are gonna show some restaurant details that the user have. The notification is again the notification, and then we'll have a order. Right now it will crash because we don't have that path. But for orders section, we will show different kind of orders for like based on different status. Now let's just get started with first thing. The first thing is this home screen. So now let's just go to our restaurant section. Now this time this is something that is interesting. Now you can see that we are over here. So I'm going to create a new package with the name UI, and along with the inside that UI, I'm going to create one more package, and let's call that package as feature. Okay. So now we have UI slash feature, and as I mentioned that I would want to change the values for the like the colors. So for that, what you can do is that you can use this. Okay, Now you can see that we have some values that are being set like this. This orange color is being used in the theme for the dark and for the light colors. So either you can take these values like these themes, this whole theme section into specific flavor, or you can do is that you can take the colors and assign different colors to this. So for example, rather than this making it this, I'm going to refactor it. I'm going to rename it to uh, primary. Okay, let me just call this primary so that I can use this. This is basically the only color that's gonna be changed throughout. And now I'm gonna copy this file. Okay, and I'll go over here into this restaurant section, and you can see that we will create a package, foodhub.ui.theme. So when you create a theme, we'll paste that color file over here inside that, and you will see that now it will say that we have multiple implementation. We have a same implementation in the main app as well, and I'm going to take that from the main. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the customer and Kotlin resource, and under the UI I'm going to paste the same theme folder over there as well. So now we have this, and then the last one would be to do it for the rider as well. Right now we don't have anything in the rider, so I'm going to create one package directory as UI, and then inside that UI will paste it. Okay, now we have all these things set up. Now I'm going to go to the main, right, and I'm going to delete that file from there. Now when you do it, you'll see something like this. Okay, so now this is basically my restaurant color. This time I'm not gonna use this. Instead, let's use something like this, some sky blue color. Okay, so now I use sky blue as a primary, and the mustard should be there, then the rest of colors should be same. What it will do is that it will change the basic design like these colors that I have into a different color that will help me identify that I have a different kind of, like right now I'm running a different app. Okay, now you can see the colors have updated. Now let's just get started and start working on the things that we want. So the first thing that I need over here inside the feature is that I need a home refactor rename, should be home, right? And then let's create another package and call it feature dash order underscore list. This is for listing the orders. And then the next would be to create order order details. Okay, so let's say we have home, order details, and order list. For now, these are the specific features that I'll create, and I'll start with the home. So now over here I'm going to create a simple class and call it we can even call it a home screen. Okay, and create a function as composable function home screen. Okay, and it should take a nav controller. So let's just use that nav controller as a nav controller, and then from there you'll see that we have you can implement the home screen over here. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing would be to create a view model for that. So let's just create a view model, go to Kotlin class, and this is going to be home view model. Okay, now this home view model is going to be the stuff that we need is going to be extended from the view model, and then we'll make it a hilt view model. And again, it is important to inject constructor when you are using hilt view model so that it can work properly. Now inside that we'll have a seal class for screen state that's going to be loading, empty, and success. I think loading and empty. Okay, I think fine. So these are something. It should not be empty. Instead, it should be failure, failed. Okay. And now another seal class that will basically be event navigation event. So this should be. I I think this class doesn't have any buttons. Okay, now over here we'll say wall private wall UI state is equals to mutable state flow of home state. Okay, and along with that we'll say something like this will basically import this. Okay, now we'll say function get restaurant profile. Okay, so this will basically get our restaurant profile for us, and what we need to do is that we need to show that profile. So basically, how do we get the restaurant profile? So this is important right now. You get over here into the postman, and inside this postman you'll see restaurant owner. So basically base URL is again the same local host URL that we have. Then we have a restaurant owner, and then rather than using this, I'm going to say profile, and when I send this request, you'll see that I get this response. So I'm just going to take that. And if you look into this, this is basically ID, owner ID, name, address, categories, and each of everything is basically we have something as a restaurant, and you'll see that we have address, category ID, and ID, major, latitude, long, and owner ID. So similar to what we have already. Now we will go to the food hub API. Now over here again, so you can see we have so many things over here that we might not need for each and every one flavor, right? For example, the cart is only available in the uh, customer side, right? And we cannot use it. So basically I'm gonna wrap those up as well, but that should be something that we'll do later on. Right now I'm gonna add restaurant endpoints. Okay, and now as you can see that, as I mentioned, that over here will basically set up as a restaurant restaurant owner slash profile. I think that should be the endpoint, and we'll create this now function. Now we'll say a suspend function get restaurant profile. Okay, and that is going to be restaurant. Okay, so this will basically help me get restaurant details for that specific ID. And what else we can do? We can. I think that should be fine for now. Okay, now let's just start working on the implementation for this. So I'm gonna go back to my home view model, and now over here we'll say view model scope dot launch. Okay, and I'll say wall. uh I think that should be okay. So we have something like this. We don't have the food API, so you know that how we can basically implement that. I'm gonna say food API as a inject constructor, and now over here we'll basically import everything that we have. Right. Okay. Now this success class should be a data class. Okay, and it should contain the restaurant. Okay, so now this is basically what we have. We have restaurant object when basically it's a success. So in that case, I'm gonna say response.data, and this will basically be working as expected, right? And we'll also make sure to use this as a to basically update the state of initially to loading as well. Okay, so now we are going to call this function, and that function should be called as soon. This should be only called when as soon as we basically create this view model, right? Now let's just go to home screen. We have this home nav controller, and now over here we'll basically create a home view model for this, import that with the hilt view model, and now we have some stuff that we need to populate, right? I'm gonna simply use a column over here. So let's just use a column, and that column should be modifier dot fill max size. Okay, that's one thing. And let's just add some padding to this. So each side padding should be 16.dp, so it leaves some spaces. Okay, now over here let's say US state is equals to something like this. We'll collect that. And now inside this column, I'm going to say when UI state dot value, which means now if basically we'll have three different cases. One would be the loading, second would be uh, an error case, home screen state, home screen state, and home screen state. Okay, so these are the states that we have. Now for this, I'm gonna use a loading screen that I've already created in one of our older video. For this, I'm gonna say error screen, and this is going to be failed to load. And in case of retry, I'm gonna say view model dot retry. Okay, let's just create a member function over here, and then it's basically get restaurant profile. So now this is basically done. And now inside this home screen, in case of a success screen, that is something that we need to do. What first thing is that we need a restaurant object from this, and that is going to be this instead of it should be data. Now we got the data, and now we'll start working on this. So this is again style, title, material, theme. Import that title medium, and then after that we'll basically create, or let's just do something else. Let's remove this padding from there, and now over here let's create a async image, and that is going to be restaurant dot image URL. Content description should be null, and then modifier for this should be fill max width. Okay, this will basically fill the size. And then I think there should be the height should be, let's call it 120 dp, and then we'll say content scale to crop. Okay, so that is an async image that we created, and after that we'll create a title medium. There will be some other stuff. Let's say if there is any description for that, restaurant dot, I think we can show the address, and along with that let's used if there is anything else other than restaurant. What else we can do? I think created ad can be used as well. So these should be enough, and then we can add some spacer between each of them to have at least to have some spacing. Okay, right. And I think I'll enclose them inside this column modifier. Okay, so I just use that, and I'm gonna take that inside this column. So I think that should be enough. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go to main activity, and over here inside this main activity we have this home where I'm using this. So I'm gonna get rid of that, import that home screen over here, and get rid of this. Okay, now we can also get rid of this restaurant that I created temporarily to fix. Okay, so now we have this login section, and when we land on the home we should get some sort of restaurant details for which we have logged in. And let's see. And now you can see that I'm getting this Pizza Palace, 123 Street, New York, and we are also getting this date, creation date, and stuff like that. So basically, the idea was to have some sort of information when user log in and see what kind of restaurant they are on. The next one would be to implement the notification and orders. So I am gonna work on the orders first because that is important, and it can have multiple section through which we can basically now over here inside this order list. Again, what we need to do is that we need to create a Kotlin class and Kotlin file, and that is going to be sorry, order list screen. This is again a simple file that we'll have, and I'm gonna say a composable that's gonna be used over here. Composable function order list screen, It's gonna take a nav controller for now, and let's just create a view model for that as well. So I'm gonna get over here and create a Kotlin class again, and that is going to be orders list view model. Okay, so order list view model. I think that should be enough, and that is going to be inject constructor, and this is going to be view model. So things like that. Okay, so now the order list view model is there, red setup, the screen is there, and now over here, what we need to do is that we need to set up some sort of uh, uh, status through, like, for which we want to check the list of orders. Okay, you know, for that I'm gonna go to my backend, and inside that backend, let me just fetch some types of orders. Now over here, we'll get over here and you can see that we have these kind of order status that we can use. So I'm gonna use the same over here as well in the client side as well. So let's just get copy these, and we'll basically create a simple util, or I think that should be part of the main app. Okay. So now over here inside this utils, I'm gonna create one more thing, and then I'll create a a Kotlin class and call it orders utils. Okay, and then inside that should be an object, and we'll create a enum class that will basically have initial status when order is placed. So basically when the restaurant can accept it and change it to prepare, and when they prepare it, it will be ready. Then the rider can basically pick that up and get it delivered. And other than that, if user rejected by the restaurant, or the customer cancels it. So I think these are the kind of orders that we'll have, and we want to show a list of these kind of orders to the restaurant owner as well. Okay, now how do we do that? So basically, what I need to do over here is that I'll get over here. Let's just say function uh, get order types. Okay, and that is going to be a list of a string. Okay, that's one thing. Now what it is going to return is that is going to be wall types is equals to order util dot order status dot entries dot map it dot name. So I think that should be giving us the name, and then we'll just return types, which will basically return the ordered name as well. Now for this, what I need to do is that I need to go to the order list screen, and now over here we are going to create a pager view that will basically contain the orders, and along with that we'll also use the list of those element as well. So column, and we need to make sure to use a modifier for this modifier dot fill max size. Okay, and you're gonna use this. Then we have a text that will be the, we'll also add like this. Okay, so now we have the title there. The next would be to create a tab row, and that is going to be a scrollable tab row. This time I'm going to use a scrollable tab row. Selected tab index is going to be 0 for now, and the next thing would be modifier. For modifier, you can always say that this is going to be modifier is equals to modifier dot fill max width, so that it covers the width. Now over here, what we need to do is that I need a pager view, so I'm going to say wall pager state is equals to, remember, pager state. Okay, and then that is going to be page count as rather than 2. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the view model. I'm going to say view model is equals to health view model. Okay, so the hilt view model, and then over here I'm going to say wall list of item is equals to view model dot get order types, which will basically give you the list. Now from over here I'm going to say page count as this, which is return the size for this, and then the selected index is going to be pager state dot current page. Okay, so now you have this, and now over here you can just define each item that we have, like each item that you have, and for that case you can say, I think that should be enough. Now we'll go to the order list screen, and we'll just use this list screen in our main activity of the restaurant. So I'm gonna get over here, and we don't have a orders, right? You can see that we don't have a orders composable, so I'm gonna create a composable for this composable, and that is going to be orders. Let me see, what do we have over here? Card notification address order list. So basically that should be the order list that I have. I'm gonna use this, and now over here we'll basically use the order list screen that we created, right? So home notification, yeah, I think that should be fine. Let me just run the code now, and hopefully this time when I go to the order screen, we'll see our order, and we'll also have a tab layout that will basically through which basically we can scroll right and left. Okay, so now let's just land over here. You can see we got the order list, but we didn't get the order list. Why would that? I think I basically made this mistake over here. We should be using fill max width rather than will max size. And since we were using that, it was just covering all the um, stuff. Okay, now we'll get over here, and now you can see that I can change. We have these different kind of types that we can use. We can definitely cannot click right now on that, and that is because I haven't implemented the on click for that. But we can get different kind of actions or different kind of types. Now, how do we basically make it work when we click on it? So I'm gonna say clickable, and now from over here, and when you basically click on specific item, I'm gonna say, let's just create wall coroutine scope is equals to remember coroutine scope. Okay, and now when user click on that, I'm going to say coroutine scope dot launch, and then inside that will basically animate to a specific page. What it will do is that it will basically animate and change the page id, and that will hopefully be a by that will hopefully be able to switch from one point to another, and let's see if that works. Now we'll get over here, and now you can see when I click, we are getting different kind of items, and that is what we want. So basically what we are doing over here is that for each tab, or like for each selected screen, we are going to load a specific kind of data, so that we can populate it over here inside this list, and when we change, we'll basically populate the other data. Now, so now what we need to do is that we need to fetch the orders for a specific type. So let's just do that. Okay, so now we'll get over here. You can see now that we are on the list of index, and now over here I'm going to say launched effect. Okay, this launched effect will basically be monitoring the pages state dot current page. Okay, and what it will do is that whenever there is something like any change in the page, it will make a web call to the view model. Like it will basically, so when there is like change in the page, it will basically get this call this method with a specific type, and that type will basically help us fetch the relevant stuff for us. So right, okay, so now we have this get order by types that we have. We need one more thing over here, and that is would be wall food API as API. Okay, and along with that, what we need to do is that we need to have a state for that as well. So I'm going to say wall UI, sorry, private wall UI state is equals to mutable state, and that is going to be order screen state. We don't have that, so I'm going to create this list of orders. We have already an order model with us, so I'm going to reuse the same thing. And now when there is basically wall state collect as, sorry, as state flow. Okay, so now when there is a change in the state, we'll basically pass that to the backend, and then that backend will help us get the relevant details. So for that, I'm gonna go back to my food API again, and now over here we'll basically make that necessary change. So I'm gonna say get restaurant orders that orders slash, I think that should be something like this. Not something like this. I'm gonna say function suspend function get restaurant order by this. Let me just verify. And to verify that, what we need to do is that we need to go to the orders route. So we'll go to routes. Inside the order route, you can see, sorry, that should be honor routes. This is the basically the orders. Okay, so there's one more thing. It's basically a query status rather than a simple. So we have a slash and then we pass a query parameter. So now I'll go back to the Android, and now rather than having this as a path, I'm gonna make it a query. So you can just change that to query. The status would be the same, and then it will be a list of response. And now we'll get over here into our home view model, and sorry, not order list view model. And now from over here, what we need to do is that we need to change these values to this, and we'll say get not this. Instead, we have the status. So we'll say sorry, safe API view model scope dot launch, right? Now from over here, I'm gonna say something like something this. This is going to be not like this. Instead, we are gonna say safe API call, and then we'll paste that status into this, and that's going to be get restaurant orders. We'll basically pass that instead. Now what we're gonna do is that we'll basically do something like this. So in case of success, we are passing the orders, and else we are going to pass error. And now it's basically complaining because we have not extended this section to order state. Now once you do that, you're pretty much done, right? Now over here inside this pager view that we have this text that will contain a title, and then inside that I'm going to create a lazy column based on the state. So I'm going to say wall, let's create wall UI state is equals to view model dot UI state dot collect state, and then we'll basically say when, so when the order screen, that is also going to be order screen state, and that is going to be order screen state. So basically we have a loading state, we know what it is. In case of error state, we have a error screen state that's there as well. Okay, and for the last one, we have this. So for that, I'm gonna say order list item. We don't have that order list item, and then in return we should be navigating it, but that's something that we do later on. So for the order list state, I'm gonna say composable function order list item. It should contain an order, and it should have ID, status, and what should be the next thing? I think let's just take address for now. Okay. So what I'm gonna get text and these kind of things. We can just add a couple of like uh, styling to this as well. So I'm gonna say modifier dot fill max width. Then we'll add some padding to this. That will be around 4.dp so that it takes some space from each side. Then we'll make it a clip. So it's a round corner shape with 12.dp, and then we'll basically have a background for this, and the background would be slightly like the primary color, but we'll add uh, some like alpha to this. So I think that should be enough. And when user is clicking on it, we can make it a clickable, and then for that I'm going to say on click, and we'll add some padding internal to this as well so that it leaves some spacing as well. And now I think we should be done. Right, you can just import the relevant, and then we are good. Now we have this done, and now let's just run it and see how it works. Now the app is basically loading. Let's just go to the order, and as soon as we go to the order, it's crashing, which is a good sign. So we can basically identify. So it's saying that we cannot create an order list view model. Okay, let's see why is it complaining. So yeah, you can see we don't have a hilt view model annotation over this view model. So now let's just rerun the code. This time we'll hopefully be able to do that. And let's see. Okay, now we are over here like this. We can go to the order section. For some reason, we are still just getting the text. Let me see if the API call that we are making is actually working. Okay, it's saying that we have a 404 not found odd. Okay, yes, I think there is some mistake with the food API endpoint that I've created. Where is my food API endpoint? Yeah, now over here you can see that I'm adding a slash to the end, and this is basically, I guess that's the reason it's not able to load this. Now let's just rerun the code by removing that slash by the end. Okay, so now we'll get over here. Interesting. This is again not working. Okay, so you can see we got the orders, but they were not populated. So, right, and I think, let's see, I think that could be because order list screen, we are getting over here this text for pages state. When you get over here, we have this text that have a fill max size. So that is again another mistake. You can need to make sure to use fill max width with the title. In fact, I don't even need this text. So let's just get rid of this text once and for all. Okay, now we'll get over here, and now you can see that I have these four orders. That is, one is the ID. This is a pending acceptance, and pending acceptance. And then if we go to the rest of the stuff, we don't have any, right? And then when I get back over here, I get these. So basically, we have the orders that are there. And now what I need to do is that when I click on that one order, let's say when I click on this item, it should take me to the next screen from where we can change the order status from one status to another, right? So let's just start working on that screen. And how do we do that? Let me show you that. Now, this is the orders. Now the next thing would be to go to the order details. We'll get over here into this order detail screen, and let's just create a new Kotlin class. This is again the same stuff. I'm going to say order details screen. Okay, and this is going to be file. I'm going to say composable function order details, right? And this order details screen should basically get some sort of order ID for you. So I'm going to say order ID as a string. That is one thing, and along with that, it should take a nav controller. This is another thing. These are the two things that we require, and there will be view model. So right now we don't have the view model, so let's just create that view model as well. So order details view model, that is there, and that's this time I'm gonna add this hilt view model straight away to this. Then we'll be making a inject constructor, and we'll say view model. Okay, so now we have these things done. The next thing would be to create a seal class, and then that would be to order detail UI state order success, and that is going to be a data class. So I'm going to say data class, and that is going to be order. Okay, that's something. And the last one would be to have an error state, so like error state or an empty state. Let's call it an error state for better visibility. And then over here, again, we'll have a list of items. So I'm going to say list of status. Status is equals to order utils dot order status dot entries dot map dot it dot name. So basically, this will be the IDs of the status that we have. And what else do we have? Yeah, we need a UI state. So I'm going to say wall under, sorry, that's going to be private wall underscore UI state is equals to mutable state flow. That is going to be order detail UI state, and this time it is going to be loading. Right now, I'm going to say as state flow. Okay. Now the next thing would be to update function update order status. That is going to be the status as a string. That is something that will get, and this will basically be updating the user status. Let's just do one more thing. When we change that status, what we would like to do is that we would want to show some sort of a pop-up message to the user, which basically means that the user has now, or the status like has been updated. So for that case, I'm going to say data class show pop-up as this. Okay, now for this case, I'm gonna say private wall event mutable state flow. Instead, I'm gonna say mutable shared flow for that. And for replay, we're gonna set this to empty, and then as shared flow. So that is something that's done. Now when there is like anything, one more thing I need is that I need to store that order value. So that is going to be order, and that is equals to null. So a nullable order that I've placed over here, and I think that should be enough for now. Okay, so now we have two different methods. The first one would be to get order details, and that is going to be order ID that it will pass as a string. We'll get an order ID, and we'll basically fetch the order details from there. And you might know that we have a order detail backend call already set up. So I'm going to say view model scope dot launch. The first one would be to update the UI state to loading, and the rest thing is same. So we are going to say safe API call, right? And now over here, let's just create a food API so that it can access the endpoints for that, and the stuff like that. So basically, we got this. We basically fetch that data, and then we are gonna set that orders to result.data as well. Assignments are not expression, right? So basically, this is something that we have done, and now view model scope dot launch, right? Now, when we basically are trying to update a specific order, for that we are gonna use this. And now, what we are going to do is that we are gonna pass the order ID as well. So that is another thing. We are gonna pass the order ID and the status so that it can update the values accordingly. Now we need to find the endpoint that can help us update the status of that order ID. So right now we are at the restaurant owner. I think that should be order route. So we need to go to the order routes, and then this is placing an order, fetching an order, order details for a specific. I think that should be the one which is a patch request, updating the ID and then status. So this is something that we need to identify. That is going to be orders slash ID and then slash status, right? So we'll get over here, go to the food API over here. Yeah, now over here, I'm going to say at the rate of patch, and I'm going to say orders slash order ID slash ID. And then from over here, we are going to just do something like this. We are going to pass order ID and the string as a status. You can add a map. Sorry, let's use a map, and instead you can see map of string comma string. So when you pass this will basically be the one that we need. Now let's just use this method. Now over here we have this. So I'm gonna say map of, okay, so it should be something like status to status. Okay, so that is something that will pass. And now when there is a success, we are not going to update the success. Instead we are just going to make uh, this order. That's one thing. And we also want to make sure to pass an event, and that is going to be emit, and we'll say order details event dot show pop up with a message order status updated. I think that should be one something. Oh, that should be message and string. Okay. So now this will, what it will do is that it will show this, and in term of error, we are not going to show any error to this. Instead we'll say order status update failed, and we are going to do the same for this. So I'm going to make it else, and I'm going to get rid of this. Okay. So now what we did is that we basically made two calls. One is to get the details of order, and the other one was to get order status. And based on that, we basically do these things. Okay. Now we'll go over here into the order detail screen. We don't have anything over here. So first thing that we need to do is that we need to define a view model for this. So I'll say view model order details view model is equals to hilt view model. That's one thing. The second thing would be to create a column, and that column is going to be fill max size modifier, mm, modifier dot fill max size. That's one thing. Second thing, the second thing would be to set up events. So I'm going to say launched effect view model, or let's just call it true for this. And I'm going to say view model dot event dot collect latest. And then inside that, we are going to say if this is navigation back, fine. Is, then we are going to say is, it's a show pop up. In that case, we are going to say is that toast dot make text, and whatever the value that we have that's coming from there. And rather than using this, I'm going to say nav controller dot context. Okay, so now we got the context, we got the navigation part for that as well, and then we are gonna make it like this. Okay, that's done for the column. Then, oh sorry, for the event. Now the next thing would be to have a UI state. So I'm gonna say UI state is equals to view model dot collect it as, let me see, collect state as collect as state, right? Now over here we're gonna say when UI state dot value, which means now when the data is available, we need to make sure to have a order detail UI state. For loading, we need the loading screen default. For error, for sorry, for error case, for errors we have a error screen message. We'll basically pass some sort of error messages to this. I think there is no error message in that state, so let's just use some sort of a default message. So we are gonna say something went wrong, and again we are gonna use this for error case, and then the last one would be to have a success case. So we're gonna get this dot order. Now from that order, what we need to do is that we need to get some sort of details. So for example, we need to get an order ID for this. So I'm gonna say text order ID. That's gonna be order ID. Then we need order dot items items dot for each. Now over here we need to define all the items that it have. So basically there is one more thing that I would want in this, but for now we need item ID, and along with that we need a text that say item quantity, and I'm gonna make it a column for this, right? And over here we'll say modifier dot fill max width dot shadow dot background as white, and that shadow should be 8.dp, right? Dot to string. For now I'm just going to id, but I'll change the backend so that it returns a menu item rather than so basically an item name as well. And this will basically help us get the quantity and stuff like that for this. And once all these things are done, the next thing would be to show a series of button so that I can update the status of the order, right? Flow raw. So that's gonna be flow raw, and from there I'm gonna say view model dot list of status dot for each. And now over here I'm gonna say button, and that button is gonna be containing text for the each status. Okay, this is done. Modifier, modifier dot fill max width. And now over here, when user click, will basically update that order status for this. Okay, so now what we do is that the only the button that will have equal status will not be updated, because that's mean that the order is already there, but the rest should be updated, and I think that should be enough. And now what I'm gonna do, that I'm gonna go over here into order details screen, and from sorry go to the main activity. And now inside this main activity we don't have anything, so I'm gonna create another composable, and that composable is going to be order details. We have a navigation already that have pretty much similar thing, so we're gonna get this, and rather than order list, I'm gonna get order details screen. We need an order ID for this, so I'm gonna say wall order ID is equals to, over here I'm gonna say IT to route, and that is going to be order details that order ID. So now that order ID would be passed over here, and like this. Okay, so now the order details is there, but we need to land on this order details, so we need to go over here into this order list screen and go select the snap controller. And now we have a on click functionality over here, which means the basically when user click on that, I'm going to say nav controller dot navigate, and then from there I'll say order details, and will pass order details the order dot id. So yeah, I think that's once we do all these things, it should be fixed. And let's just build this. Okay, so now let's just get over here. You can see we have this. Let me just click on this, and when I click on this, it's keep on loading, and I know why it's loading. So let me just fix that loading as well. The reason that it's loading is that when I get onto over here, we need to make sure to call for the first time, because that is something that we need to do. And now we need to do something like this. Okay, so there is one more thing that I've did, and I just as I mentioned that we need to show the name of this as well. So I'm gonna get over here and create one more menu item name as this. So I'm gonna make it a nullable just for the safety. And now when I get over here, rather than the item ID, I'm gonna use this instead. If it's not null, then we'll show something like this. Okay, so now we'll basically show the product item name. Okay, and let's just run this code once again. Okay, so here it is. We got over here. We can get over here, we can click on an item, and now you can see we have a id on top, then we have a special pizza, and then we have different kind of buttons which basically we can do. Let's say, let me just click on accepted. So when I click on accepted, the order status is updated, although we should have updated this rest of the stuff as well, but I think for now let's just do this. And we get over here, you see you have three, and then we get over here, you can see we have an accepted over here as well, right? And now let's just get over here in this accepted, and let's just change it to preparing. And when I click on the preparing, the order status will be updated. Yeah, go back, go to preparing, and we'll see something over here. So basically, to some extent, things are working. The order status is being updated from different state to different. And the next thing would be to slightly like work on this, because this is not looking good. We need to make sure to have some spacing regarding this. And we also want, when the status is updated, we want to change the colors, or like update the buttons accordingly, right? So how do we do that? So to do that, what I need to do is that we need to go back to order details screen first thing. Then we have this column fill max width. I'm going to add some padding to this so that it leaves some spacing from all side. Okay, and after that, let's just create a text, so to have a title kind of a thing, order details, right? Then inside this, we have no spacer. So let's just add some spacer into this. Right. We can also have some padding inside that as well. And the padding thing is done. And uh, when basically this specific status is updated, now what we need to do is that we need to, rather than successfully doing that, we'll basically make sure to get that updated, so the order ID can be updated, so the view can be updated accordingly. Now let's just rerun this section and see if we can update the rest of the stuff accordingly as well. So we get over here. Let me just select this one. And when I get over here, now let's say this is preparing. Now let me just, let's say I want to click on ready. When I click on ready, ideally what should happen is that this button should get disabled when the order is successfully updated. So let me just click on this ready. And as soon as I click on ready, you can see now that the ready is now blocked and I cannot use it. And now these values are more for rider side, like these two values, the auto out of food for delivery and delivered. And once you accept, like these are different kind of methods or different kind of functionality. For example, once you accept it, you cannot change it to to something else. And once it's preparing, you cannot basically go to the previous status. But I'm not gonna work on that, because these kind of changes are like more of a user experience thing, and you can easily implement them by not allowing the previous buttons to be clickable. So yeah, that's something that we have done. And now we need to implement a proper implementation for our notification. So for example, when someone place an order, we would want the user to get a notification over here. And from there, user can basically go over here into this section, and from there the rest of stuff should be done. So I think that should be enough for our side. So that was it for today. I hope you like the video. You can see that we have now a restaurant screen in place, and from the restaurant screen we can also have order list section, from where we can basically change the status of our current order that is being there. So I think that should be enough for now. And in the next video, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna set up the notifications flows, so that when the order is placed, the restaurant should get a notification, and then from there, a restaurant can basically start working on the orders. And that would be the sum up of our restaurant feature. And then we'll start working on the rider app, which will be another thing. So thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you like the video. Please comment down below if you have any question or queries, and I'll see you in the next video. So till then, happy coding. Bye.